Let's get to Mayor Bobby Dyer, who's with us, Mayor of Virginia Beach. You were very involved with contacting the governor. You wrote him several letters, which I had a chance to see, Mayor Bobby Dyer, about opening Virginia Beach. Finally, you got some of it opened. Where are we now, and what do you think needs to be done in order to get people here back to work and businesses open?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was of paramount importance that we do so, but do it in such a responsible way that, the number one concern we had was the health, prevention with the pandemic. But also, as Jason said, we looked at the collateral considerations that came in, where people through confinement, were having high incidence of depression, increases in suicide, alcohol sales have been through the roof, people who were recovering addicts back on drugs, and, once again, the domestic violence. And what we have here at Virginia Beach, we have a super wide beach. This is actually a healthy environment for people to come to. But the thing is, with the closure, our businesses, our restaurants, our hotels, and just business in general were so adversely impacted that it was a high priority that we at least get open, but we had to do it safely. And we wish we could have done it a little quicker, but we were shooting for at least Memorial Day, so we're at least going to have our safe opening with a number of safeguards that our city staff worked on to convince the governor to get us open.
Okay, so when I was at the beach on Saturday, Ann and I went for lunch, and we were walking around, and there were people. This was a private company, I guess you guys had hired, that were manning each beach entrance, telling people what the rules were. They weren't enforcing anything. Explain what that was.
Okay, simply
Bobby.
put, the governor's order was still in effect last weekend, and we expected it was beautiful weather. People were going to come out. And, we just, asked people to do the rules. Now, we rolled out some of the thing called the ambassador program. And
that was it, the ambassador.
We're going to be rolling that out. We anticipated that them coming out. I think we're going to have 150. And it was just to diplomatically remind people that the social distancing is important, not to congregate in groups of 10 or more, the volleyball games and, things of that nature. It's important that people know when they come to Virginia Beach, they're coming to a safe environment. And but let me tell you one thing that people really didn't notice, that last week when the city council found out that we were going to be allowed to open outdoors and patios, forums
Right.
and everything, we expedited this. The city attorneys and staff came together and came up with a resolution. I called for a special meeting on Thursday. We got it done, and John, I can tell you, all over the city, where the oceanfront especially, but all over the city, people were finally able to sit down, have a meal brought to them, have a cocktail.
Yeah, I did that.
And just relax.
And I did that, yeah.
A lot of smiling faces.
When are restaurants inside going to be able to open?
I'll tell you what, I'm disappointed that didn't happen yet, but here's the thing. If we play by the rules, and the message we're going to try to get out as a city, what I'm going to try to get out as mayor, if we play by the rules, we can go to phase 2. And then once we get to phase 2, then I understand 50% of restaurant opening, for now. But let me tell you one thing about the restaurant.
And that is so phase 2 says 50% capacity.
Hopefully, yeah, we'll get that. But the thing is, if we play by the rules, we might be, I am praying that we get to phase 2 by first week of January. But I'm sorry, June.
June, right? First week of June. So the week after Memorial Day.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can get that, if that's
Right,
at least possible.
We're with Mayor Bobby Dyer. I want to get to a business owner, Mike Standing. He owns Waterman's Restaurant, Chick's Restaurant, that I've been to, by the way, many times. Mike, you also own several hotels in the area. So Mayor Dyer is saying maybe you can open up, maybe by June 1st. I heard you laugh about that. I mean, how has this affected your business, Mike?
Well, I think in so many ways, it's not just the dollars, it's the emotional, the stress, the employees, I think, is the number one. Because employees in the restaurant and hotel business across the country, it's millions and millions of people. And them not knowing what their future lies is a very stressful thing for the owners. And so I think Delegate Myers said it perfect. deadlines with the governor. So that, in my interpretation, is that, all right, so we were dealt a serious card, a very dangerous. This pandemic is serious, it's particularly with the elderly that you were talking about before. Everybody can have their opinion on it or not, but it doesn't mean that we can't plan better. And so planning for these businesses means planning the future for the employees as well. And I think if we could do anything or do a better job in any part of this in our state level is have a better plan. And you can't say one day you're going to do this or not do it. It's complicated with hiring, and then all of a sudden, when the governor holds the key to the employee's future and the business future, without any substance to how you're going to pull out of it when you hold that key is very challenging for us. And we don't want to hire people back and then furlough them again. You can't do that ups and down on
so
people.
let me just ask you this honest question. Mike Standing, owner, a couple of restaurants, Orderman's, Chicks, anybody from the area has probably eaten at one or both of these like I have. I've been to Chicks many, many times, as you know. So, Mike, if phase 2 comes and they say, okay, you can open inside 50%, can you make any money at 50%?
No.
So you can't make money. So
No.
you're not going to open at 50%.
Well, we don't have a choice, and because we serve over 1 million people a year,
Right.
and so we have 500 employees. We have to keep our machine going. We'll be racking up debt. We'll have to keep it going, and if we don't, then restarting it is even more challenging. So and then when the button's pushed to start, you have to be in gear to go. You can't afford to lag.
You can't
anymore.
go from 0 to 100 and.
Right,
So-
and that's
so
why the
basically-
planning is important.
So basically, what you're saying is, as a restaurateur and a hotelier business owner, you cannot make money at 50% capacity. You have to open, though, at 50% capacity to lose money because you have to get engaged, and you can't lose all your customers because the demands might not be there when you get to 100%. So you have to open at 50% to lose money for a period of time so that you're sometime in the future in position to be profitable again.
Correct.
Right? I mean, does everybody understand the significance of that?
That-
Jason?
and well,
I mean,
Chicks
think about that.
it
I have
is-
to open to lose money.
Yeah.
I'm losing money not open. I have to open to continue to lose money so that when I can finally get back to full capacity, I have the opportunity to maybe in the future make money again.
Well, that's what's so heartbreaking. Chicks is a Virginia Beach institution.
Right.
And many years ago, my wife was a waitress at Chicks. All right. And it's a Virginia Beach institution, and that's my worry, is that you're going to see certain places we love that may not be able to reopen. And Mike's dilemma he's facing is this agonizing dilemma. And if you have these small business entrepreneurs like Mike, they're the first ones there, they're the last ones to leave. They deal with the stress every day of meeting their payroll of every month. And now they're saying, okay, for us to survive and keep our customers, we have to operate and lose money every month. That is not a business model that's going to survive. And so, Mike, heart breaks for where you're at, and I know how frustrated you are.
One of the challenging parts is, the government's done this PPP program,
Right.
And it is a lifeblood for a lot of places,
Right.
But when you're not able to be open to utilize the labor benefits of it for the loan to be forgivable, and the state holds that key. So in some states it works, in some it doesn't. So it goes back to deadlines and planning. So we have to sync up, and you might not necessarily be able to sync a state with the federal plan, but you have to have a plan beyond that. You can't just jump out and for instance, we all thought that we were going to be open 50% inside. So thousands and thousands of employees were hired back in the state. People ordered food, they prepped it, they have it all set, and all of a sudden it was down, and it was 50% outdoors. Well, 50% of outdoors, what happens today when it rains and it blows, and
You're done.
Yeah, so in our business, we have a couple restaurants on the ocean. We figured, we did the numbers, and what we did last weekend on best weather, best wind conditions, full from open to close, we're able to do 60% of our total business because the city, thank you, Mayor Dyer, they enabled to expand our outdoor space. Very smart, great idea, and the governor helped on that as well, so kudos to him as well. But then you have 4 or 5 days of rain and wind, so then you go from, we were down 95% in our sales. Now we think that based on averages of weather that we can get around 25 to 30% of our normal volume, and that's how bad it is. So we have $1 million a month overhead, and you can't imagine the numbers on that.
Right. So, and the overhead still has to get paid, plus your PPP loan, which is great when the money got wired into your account, but now because you can't get to 75%, that's now becomes a debt on your.
Correct.
John, can I jump in on that
Yeah.
and say this is the one where I think the Trump administration is not handling this well, because the PPP loan program exceptions, only the president and the administration can make exceptions to it, and it's something they haven't done yet. I think it's to penalize some of the blue states that have been more closed, and they should make an exception for this. The PPP loans should absolutely be able to apply for a business like yours to when you reopen and when you're using the labor, because right now they're only calculating it through July 1st.
Yeah.
And the administration could easily make a waiver to that to make it August 1st, September 1st, whatever works for
I think they
when
are
a
gonna
business
do
is
that.
using
I
it,
think
and they
they're-
should.
I think they're in the process of looking at that, either relaxing the 75% of labor to 50% or extending it. And I think the administration's look, when PPP was started, again, what we were sold on is it's going to keep people from being unemployed. That's not really what's happened. So now you have to deal with the reality. It's happened for some companies, certainly not in your business. I just want to read this text. Wayne in Glen Allen says, it was just announced this morning that Morton's Steakhouse in Shockoe Bottom, which is an institution in Richmond, will be closing its doors for good, and they are out of business. So that's the other thing we have going. And one of the things that I've been saying, Mr. Mayor, is that as I go around in the last month, I've seen storefronts that have gone from closed for COVID-19 to out of business. And so the bankruptcies now are starting to pile up.
I'll tell you, we are looking as a city right now at a $67 million hole. And, and it's heartbreaking, to go around because, I encounter a lot of
When you say
business
$67
people.
million hole in your budget.
In the budget, as of right now, because obviously our revenues are down, We want Mike Standing and everybody to make money because when we do, the city prospers. And, we keep up with essential city services and everything. And, and unfortunately, a number of restaurants just didn't open at all. And some were opening for takeout and delivery, which was helpful. But let me say a couple things, kudos to the restaurant industry. A lot of the restaurants stepped forward and were helping feed, people that elderly and people that were needy. And they also came up with a very, very proactive, dynamic plan for safety and just making sure that their employees also have to feel that they're safe coming back to work. People have to know that when they go to a restaurant,
Right.
that they're going to be safe.
Right.
And the restaurant industry in Virginia Beach was very proactive in coming up with the right formulas, the right rules and everything. And I had no idea of the magnitude of the challenges that the restaurants are involved in. They were probably one of the most impacted industry as a result of this. And the thing is, restaurants always operate under rules of sanitation and disinfecting and everything. That's how they stayed open even before this great thing. So, whatever we can do to get, I think it was a good milestone, at least starting to get open for Memorial Day, but we got July 4th coming up, and we got to do what we can. But you got to realize that restaurants are all over the city, too.
Right.
And, when you think about, but, like I said, even with the limited opening that we had with the patios, as I drove around on Saturday in a number of restaurants, people were sitting on the patios, happy to finally be out there. People were smiling. They were sitting in the sun. and the wait staff. I did a ribbon cutting at a restaurant for lunch, and the waitress had a tear in her eye. She said, "You're the first table I've had in a couple months." I tell you what, it's heartbreaking, but it's heartwarming knowing we're starting to at least get back.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we were here Saturday, my wife and I, and same thing. It was the first time we actually sat down and were able to do that. Did you want to add something,
Yes,
Belinda?
I wanted to ask, does the governor realize what he's doing to Virginia Beach? We're the economic engine for the whole state. And he can't go on like this. We just cannot take any more. We can't take getting piecemeal. We have to have our lives back. We really do.
I tell you what, I agree with that 100%, and that's why I believe we are the only beach that was opened. It took a. And I tell you what, I got to give our staff a lot of kudos that worked interactively with the governor's thing. Yes, I did send a couple letters out to try to get things moving, but there were obstacles, but we kind of overcame them. And I did when I did talk to the governor Monday. He was gracious to the way that the city responded, and we got to keep these levels of communication open.
Absolutely.
And, we have to convince the governor that we are doing things in the very safe, methodical way.
Because
we got to get to phase 2 and then to phase 3.
You want to get to phase 2 June 1st, which means that 50% capacity inside of a restaurant becomes open. So people like Mike Standing can get his restaurants, at least he can, I guess, lose not all the money that he's losing.
But we mitigate losses, but remember...
You're mitigating losses.
Right, we're mitigating losses.
Like
but remember, 50% of an inside or outdoor patio is not 50% capacity. It's a big, big difference. So for a restaurant, it's 6 foot social distancing, so which means your tables it's far less. I have one place that holds 1,800s of capacity. We're able to get about 250 people in there at a time, and that's an outdoor facility. Another one holds 300. So
50% is not 50%?
No, it's not 50%.
Well, then why do they say 50%?
I think it's no more than 50% capacity. It's a misnomer because you have to move your tables all 6 feet apart from each other. So, for instance, a room like this could probably get at best 6 tables. That's it. So remember, if a 6-top might only put 2 people there or 3 people there. So 6 times 6 is 36 for this room, but you're only going to be holding about 15 people in here.
Right. Not everybody's going to be a table of 6.
And the capacity of this room right here is probably, if I took a guess, it's probably 60 people, so you'll end up with 15 to 18.
So it's not really 50%.
No,
it's
30.
really 25%.
Yeah, maybe 30%.
Best. Something of that nature.
And John, I think the ultimate goal, we got to get to phase 3 as soon as humanly.
To remind our listeners, we're with Mayor Bobby Dyer, Virginia Beach. Mayor, what is phase 3?
We're not exactly sure, but it's more of a reopening. And hopefully we start getting back to, the point where, the numbers with the disease process, are starting to come under control. And, human beings are made to interact.
Right.
Okay. I've been a physical therapist for 4.5 decades.
Right. You were my mom's physical therapist.
Yeah.
Good job.
And she's delightful. Really delightful to work with.
She's
Very
just,
spunky woman.
One big barrel of laughs. Yep.
And
Yep, she really
but
is.
I tell you what, but once we get people starting to get together, as we were talking about, the quality of life increases. But also, there's a point where I think Mike Standing kind of touched on. When people are under financial stress, they're also under emotional stress too, and that adds to the problem of what we were talking about. The uncertainty of the future going forward, the uncertainty of people paying their rents, buying their own food.
Right.
We saw supply chains, my goodness, no toilet paper or paper towels for how long?
Right.
That's some of the necessities of life. But the thing is, we got to look at this, objectively. A lot of this, let's look at this as short-term inconvenience for a long-term gain. We have to play by the rules for a while. We have to demonstrate we're
Right.
ready to go to the next step.
Right.
But, the optimism you have to have is that we are one day closer to having this behind us that we were yesterday.
That's a very
And
optimistic
I tell
view.
you what, but the other thing is too, I can guarantee you that our restaurants, when they open, they're going to be ready. And their staff is going to be safe. Anybody that goes to a restaurant is going to be safe. And it's going to be a giant step back toward some form of normalcy that we really need at this point in time.
All right, Mayor Bobby Dyer, thank you.